is a greater concept than I could even describe to you. I don't think any words in the English language or picture that we could possibly perceive through human eyes could possibly capture the essence of God. I don't think personifying the idea of God could even describe what God is. Like when you put God in a gender or call it an it or a he or a she or they or whatever, it's like you're almost putting your idea of God in a box, because ultimately we are beyond our physical gender, the physical, like what our body has been, the way we've been created. We are souls, ultimately made of light. And if we were made in the image of God, that's what that would mean. And the idea that God created this whole world, this whole universe, this whole almost simulation that we live in, and we ourselves have like mind, we can think thoughts like as if God thought thoughts, and we can manifest those thoughts into reality. Not as in like poof, a chair, but like the perspective of our life and our outlook, we can make it real. The things that we want, we can picture in our heads, create scenarios, manifest those into reality by acting out the sequence of events to create that. It could even happen with fears, I think the most basic understanding of God is like an old man, up in the sky, who lives secluded from humanity, that observes and speculates on everything. And when he's angry, there's lightning, and when he is sad and crying, there's rain. Like it's just the basic 5-year-old idea of God. And then there's a understanding that not even ourselves are limited to just this, when I'm sad, I cry, when I'm angry, I act out on my anger. No, you can even step outside of that, ourselves, and you can feel that sadness. You cannot cry. You feel that anger. You cannot act out. You feel that happiness, and you don't have to do anything. It's just a feeling. It's just a layer, a part of you, just like the mind and the thoughts in the mind. You can think anything. You can think, I'm amazing, I'm the greatest person of all time, or I'm a fucking loser and I suck. You can think whatever you want, or whatever comes to mind, because thoughts just come naturally. And you can choose what you attach to, what you dwell on, or you can detach and not be affected by your thoughts. So it's like our soul, the soul that I am, like, isn't even like, I'm not my thoughts. I'm my soul. When I wake up and I'm conscious, I realize I don't have to be swayed by emotion or, or my thoughts, anything that comes to my mind, or any feeling that I'm feeling in the moment, because those are always constantly changing and never stay the same, Is this blurry? I don't know if it's blurry. But my identity is something that would never change. Everything else is just like a role for a time. Even like if I took on a role of a career, that career could end. Or if I lived that career my whole life, my physical body dies. So like, but my soul is eternal, just as God is eternal. And my soul is made of light, this energy of atoms, of whatever science calls it, that, is probably even beyond the understanding of that. I'm made of light. I'm a child of light. The root of what I am is light. And reading that one book, forgetting his name, but that one dude that wrote that one book, The Four Agreements, it opens with this man from the, I can't remember, Four Agreements, that's the book, but it opens up with this guy who astral projects, and then he realizes that he is not his body, and that his body is made of light, and that it's just like the stars. The light doesn't come from the stars come from light, and then that all energy is rooted like that, and we are just energy and light manifested into human form in the image of God. And then if you think of the Bible, if you think of the very first words God speaks in the Bible, he says, "Let there be light," and that is what God is. He spoke himself into existence, if you want to think of it that way. It's like saying God is light, and that we are light, and everything is made of light. But then what made reality is that there is a concept of darkness that has come into this world, this simulation, that brings out the light, if everything was light, you wouldn't be able to see the contrast of what the form of this human being speaking to, and so the contrast, the darkness, brings out the light. Light shines lighter in the darkness. Oh, got my lighter right here. So yeah, because I'm recording at nighttime, it's bright. And then everything is also light, energy, vibration, just sound. Everything's vibrating. Bro, okay, big visual. I won't be able to show you, but I can talk about it. The other day we were at the lake. I've never swam in a lake before until the other day, and we were just playing in the water, and then I stepped out. It was really cool. I stepped out of the water, and then I just sat on the bench and kind of just looked around and observed, and then I noticed the water, the ripples, the water, and I realized everyone was kind of in this one spot, just hanging out and swimming, and then all the water was like just rippling from this one spot, like, and I saw it. I was like, whoa, simulation, bro. This is the energy. This is like a visual of the energy that we have. What we do, what we say, what we are affects everything around us. And we are all interconnected, and we are all God. I believe God is beyond just this one being, this one idea, and that God is absolutely everything. God is beyond what we could even describe perfect. Like, I think, man, I can't even put it into words, but I can't put it into words. God, like, not perfect as in God is only good. Like, God understands both good and bad and the balance of it, and created this whole thing for a reason, and I can't fully grasp it. And that's okay. I'm so okay with that, because I trust God. I trust this whole thing. I trust myself that it's all gonna be okay in the end. When I die, I'm doing like my absolute best to, live this life and make the most of it, and most of it well, and good and worth it, so like I believe that God is beyond just an understanding of a book or excerpts of a bunch of history. It's not like the people in history had any better idea of God than we do now. They had different life experiences at that time, but and maybe there were like different kinds of signs and wonders that we can choose to believe in or not, reading that. But still, everything written was made from perspective of a human being. I don't want to downplay nothing, and I don't want to I don't want to cause problems with people, but I'm just talking to myself, Brett, and I'm gonna post this shit. So yeah, we are all one, and we are all interconnected, and we are all God. And I think I made a video about the idea that we are separated from God, and I think I just want to clarify that something someone said in the comments made it sound so much better. The only sense or any of us are separated from God is the fact that we believe we are separated from God. The fact that we believe or forget that we are powerless, and that we act fully out of the ego, and we don't know how to live with our ego, and make friend with it, and not run away from it and be avoidant of it or repress it, but learn to control, like self-control, so I feel like, like that one verse in the Bible, I think it's in Romans, where it's like, all have fallen short of the glory of God, and all have sinned. And I definitely believe that, like, that sin begins in the heart, just like Jesus said. Like, you don't just lust when you go commit adultery and sleep with someone's wife or husband or whatever. It's when you just think of it, when you think of doing it. So sin begins in the heart, and so it's like what you dwell on, and those lusts of the flesh of the human being are natural. They're gonna come. Like, you can't make them stop, but you don't have to dwell on them. And so when you learn that self-control of the ego, of the flesh, then like that's when you're truly reunited with God. And that's why they say the Holy Spirit comes in you, and you have this whole, the old is gone and the new is here. So it's just like that. If I were to speak in biblical terms, it's just like that. But I think everything else, the other ways I explain it, has also just broadened my understanding of it all. It's spirituality is so interconnected with the mind, mentality, and understanding the physical temple body that we live in, and the nervous system, all of it. It's a package deal. That's the human experience, and with the history, and with just everything, the life experience, taking in other people's life experiences, perspectives, opinions, you know, and I'm not even saying this to convince anyone. I'm just saying this is what I understand. And it's beyond my understanding, and I'm okay with it. I've never felt so peaceful about the idea. There's like no pressure in this idea. It's so real. It's so real. And so, yeah, like, it's beyond anything. Like, if you think about it, like, this light, it brings out different shadows in my room based on where it's placed. That's like a really interesting concept. The perspective of where the light is and the shadows are. It's really interesting. I don't know. I could dwell on that for a minute. Yeah. So, I don't know. God is beyond my understanding. I think God is beyond all of our understanding. And anyone who says they have God all figured out, or life, like, I got the answer to all your problems if you follow this and do all these things, like, follow this religion or stuff, read this book, then you'll, like, it'll all be better. But I think it's all just stepping stones. I read something in that one book from Alan Watts. It was like, religion is just like a finger pointing at the moon. But sometimes, but you get so caught up looking at the finger, you forget that it's pointing somewhere at the moon. And that's what religion is. You're so focused on the religion, and that you forget that the religion's actually pointing at the moon, that it's bigger picture. Or like that picture where, like, religion is like you're in this fishbowl, and then spirituality is like the sea, and so then you get out of the fishbowl, and then you're opened up to the sea. But then, like, consciousness is like you come out of the water, you're a fish out of water, and then you're like, whoa. It's like all these layers, but those are just visual ideas of what we could possibly comprehend of this whole life experience and world, human experience. So I don't know a lot about history and spirituality and philosophy and stuff like that, but this is just like my understandings right now, and it's just like it's very cool to be able to put this into words and onto like a video for myself to kind of look back at. So yeah, that's what's up. You are light. We are all light. We are all beings made of light. We have a shadow. We have our ego, and we live with it. And that's what makes reality. You need the bad to outweigh. You need the good to outweigh the bad, but you also need the bad to bring out the good. Otherwise, you won't see the goods there in the first place. So it's balance. It's all balance. It's all that understanding. That's how you find contentment. That's how you find peace with your circumstances. You realize it's all there for a reason. It's all meant to be like this. And then you realize, like, wow, life is worth living again. This is awesome. So, yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. Go Have a good night. Let your light shine like Michael Jackson.